Welcome back to the Brew Crew podcast, everyone. This is episode 277, back virtual for several times in a row, but it's okay. We bring the podcast to you, the Chuggalo,
and that's what again. Get product out there. Be as consistent as you can be, and just make magic happen.
Hell yeah, just make magic happen. We've gotten some great comments from Chuggalos Stev on the last one. I was reading through those yesterday. He definitely picked up on the can art for I Think You Should Leave. Skeletrex. And he reminded me of the times when he said, I remember when the joke was that JT watched too much TV.
Yeah. I
actually don't know that you guys were joking back then. I thought that you guys just thought I watched too much TV. That was back when we were a three-person podcast.
Well, granted, a lot of that stuff is said in the moment and said in jest. Yeah. You always, like hip pocket, you always have suggestions available.
Oh, yeah. I've run low of late, though. I've been going to you more for the suggestions. There's been shows I've recommended to you that I didn't even finish.
Which is interesting because, like, up here in Minnesota, I've had a couple of people that are also joining me on orders. They're like, hey, what are you watching up here? Like, just knowing that. And I've just had, not to be, a one-upper by any means, but, like, I've just had kind of a busier social calendar. So,
yeah.
And, not been in bed by 7 o'clock, which is the norm for me.
Yeah.
And that's been tough. Tonight will be different. I'll be in bed by 7. But,
good.
Right. To get
back to it,
Try to get back to sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I haven't been watching as much TV, and I didn't finish For All Mankind still, even to this day. But it's all right.
It's good because then it's binge worthy. I know people because they're not fully subscribed to Apple TV, and they wait till a good chunk of, and they subscribe for a month or two, binge it, and then turn it off for the year.
Yep, that's a good move. Yeah, I'd do that as well if I wasn't already subscribed.
It's very fiscally responsible of those individuals, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, and we just canceled HBO. It was just a waste to have, so canceled it.
Yeah, I've had HBO like on in the background here and there'll be like a banger and then like what's this going on? And I like watching John Oliver and Bill Maher, but they're on at like odd times.
Like John Oliver, I'm starting to get sick of. It's too formulaic. He needs to switch it up. Yeah. Anyway, that's just my.
But you do catch it live or reruns or because he's like Sunday at like 10:30.
YouTube. He posts everything on YouTube.
Yeah. That's where I've watched it too, but hardly ever on the actual channel.
Yeah. Bill Maher's got some good stuff, but it's baseball season, so most of the time I would watch a show. I watch baseball games.
I've been bad. I've just been out of my schedule. Like I was telling someone, I think up until like of the first 15 Brewer games, I probably only missed a couple innings. It just had worked out like even like their gentleman special games. But now I'm just catching highlights. And we say that as we're recording right now. It's bottom of the 7th and they're up 7-0 on Tampa Bay, which is good because they got absolutely trounced by the Yankees by double digits. I mean, just incredible. Just
Yankees are a good team. All right, let's break open a beer here. And this beer starts my journey from the West Coast. Well, we started last week because we had some Cali Creamin', but that's
Cali Creamin'.
That's not last week, but 2 weeks ago. That's technically part of the trip destination, whereas the rest of the beer for the next, I think, 3 iterations of my beer submissions, they'll be part of the road trip portion of my vacation. So we go every state we went to. I tried to find beer. Oh, I did find beer in. The only state I didn't purchase beer in was Indiana because we've had so much of it that I just didn't look hard enough for good craft beer. But I had plenty, and I had like a trunk full of whiskey also. So
good trunk.
A good trunk. Everybody needs a good trunk. So let's start with. Let me make sure we're starting. Yep. So we're going to start with Grand Canyon Brewing Company, Prickly Pear. So as we left California, we went to the Grand Canyon. This is not from the Grand Canyon itself, but Grand Canyon Brewing. And it's called Prickly Pear. It's a wheat ale. We're going to see how this tastes. Prickly pear added. That is prickly pear is a what is it? It's a fruit.
I think cacti is prickly pear, yes, is a fruit, but is it the cactus fruit or is that why it's the prickly pear? I don't know.
I have no idea.
It does look like the cactus fruit though.
Yeah, it does look like the cat. Yeah.
So maybe they just refer to it as maybe they just refer it to them as prickly pears.
Maybe. I've had cactus as well. Have you had cactus?
Yes.
Very bell pepper like.
Your favorite, green bell peppers.
My favorite. All right, this is not primed. It's very difficult. I'm gonna actually use this awesome thing here to prime it up.
Flat bar.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
I still have to get his to Chuggalo Dave. Chuggalo Dave, I'm gonna outshout him every episode that I've done in Minnesota. We still got to figure out when we're gonna get together, Chuggalo Dave. He did like
Dave.
He did like the episode. He did like the outshout from last week. He goes, he said I was not annoyed by the cheers noises.
Oh, Dame Sommer again. For all those mole people interested in a random game on a Wednesday between the Brewers and the Rays, Dame Sommer twice. So, prickly pear is cactus, is a flowering plant in the cactus family. So, yeah, there you go. It's part of that. And the beer actually is purplish pink. There you go, purple pink.
So it matches the can a little bit, you'd say.
Yeah, it matches the can. That's right. So this is from Grand Canyon Brewing Company, and they are where are they out of?
4.5% ABV.
Definitely Arizona. 4.5, 18 IBU, and come on, where is the city? Might have to look them up on Untapped. But anyway, native to the beloved home state of Arizona. Award-winning, apparently, this beer is award-winning. Yeah, so.
I just lost my lead, so I was fixing that.
Have you been to the Grand Canyon?
I have not. I've only been to Arizona for military exercises and always the southern part of the state, never to the northern part.
Okay, so well, you should go.
Like Fort Huachuca area.
Grand Canyon Brewing Company. Where are they? Man, even their Untapped is like not good. Like not filled out well. They're from Williams, Arizona.
Williams.
Great. I looked all that time for that, and I don't even know where the hell Williams is.
The metropolis that is Williams, Arizona.
Williams, Arizona. Yeah. So yeah, we went to the Grand Canyon. Interesting enough, I did not know that you had to pay to get in. I thought national parks were free, but they're not.
No, and that's where we were talking. Maybe before we went live a couple of weeks ago. That's where veterans, you get the lifetime free. Yeah, the Epic Pass, I believe they call it.
Yeah, they gave me that pass. I think did we talk about that on mic? I don't remember, but yeah. So we went there and got the pass. It's really nice. I don't know that I have it is awe-inspiring, but I don't know that I get in awe of things very often. I was like, wow, this is great.
Williams is actually fairly close. It's one of the biggest, or one of the nearest population centers from the Grand. It's due south of the Grand Canyon.
Oh, okay. I think probably the better view of the Grand Canyon for awe would be the bottom, not the top.
4,000 people.
Wow, 4,000. That's very small town. Not the smallest town, but I'm sure Arizona's got some pretty tiny towns.
Yeah, probably a lot of ghost towns too, like towns that were, since abandoned.
Tombstone-ish type places.
Just watched Tombstone this last weekend.
Oh yeah?
Yep. The individuals love westerns, and it had been decades since they had watched it. So always a good rewatch. Not every year, I would say, but every few years.
They should bring back the western. What happened to the western?
There's a lot of people that, and like on the free TVs or Dish or whatever, have just like western channels. Just because there's so much content in it. I think since it's older than 25 or 30 years, it's free. Like you can just go grab it and play it on your network.
Public domain or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like the Rifleman and
a lot of people
Hang
like
'em
that
High.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it doesn't appeal to me. But I get it. Westworld was cool.
You just went from they should bring it back to it doesn't appeal to me.
Well, they could bring it could be popular and not be my thing, Bring it back. See if there's people who want to see old westerns. I'm not saying bring back old westerns. Bring back make new ones.
The genre.
Yeah. Maybe don't bring the genre fully back, but make a couple movies, move on.
Yeah, they like in the 310 to Yuma and what was the Seth MacFarlane kind of cheesy one like Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah.
Cowboys versus Aliens.
Oh yeah, Cowboys versus Aliens. I remember that one. Man, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I don't know, the West. The West is interesting. That's something I would listen to podcasts about, historical podcasts about. Like the Trail of Tears, and then maybe the Gold Rush, things like that.
So you think it's an underserved genre? Like there's a lot more worth or value there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, let's look at it from my dad's perspective. Is this heroes, cops, robbers, that kind of thing, and it's just not like I want to see more realistic stuff. Kind of like what was that HBO show? Speaking of HBO, that was about the Gold Rush. Oh, what was it? Deadwood.
Oh, Deadwood. Yeah. One of their older ones. One of the classic HBO. Like you think
like
that would The Wire and Oz.
That would be good Western style stuff to bring back. There's a lot of, they say during the Gold Rush, there's people who did get rich off gold, but hardly anybody. The people who did get rich sold shovels. Do more realistic kind of westerns like that. That'd be cool.
I like the ones too, like that Klondike, like Alaska, because then you have the hardship of the weather that you have to deal with.
I guess the Yellowstone had a spinoff from the 1800s. That
1888.
1888. Okay, well there you go.
Then they did 1928 or whatever. It was Generation. So I think it went from Harrison Ford. Who was the other one? Who was the other guy that they got to do it for, like the one generation off? I know Harrison Ford was one of them. They got big actors because Yellowstone. I still haven't seen an episode, but it's all the rage. Like no one has anything bad to say that they've watched Yellowstone. No one has anything bad.
Yeah, it seems pretty good. I've seen like the first 3 or 4 episodes, and boy, I'll tell you, that woman that is the main character, she really makes herself desirable by smoking as many cigarettes as she can possibly smoke. Crazy. You could almost
that doesn't do it for you, ashtray.
No, I don't want none of that.
I don't think smokers are really our demo for the brew crew.
Yeah, probably. I used to smoke, but I don't do that anymore. Yeah, I don't know. You don't see people smoking very often. I was just talking to my sister about this. Cigarettes are kind of gone now.
Well, they're cost prohibitive. I know up at the cabin this last week, and everyone was saying they're $10 a pack now.
Jeez, I see people smoking. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but yeah, it's a lot of kids vape. Kids who want to get into smoking vape.
Yeah.
And then most people just don't do any of that stuff anymore. It's kind of just the marketing worked.
Like my parents still smoke, but they've definitely cut back. But I mean, they're in their 60s. So,
it's inherent with that generation.
But like
you're probably gonna keep doing.
Like our peers, like, do you have anyone in like your circle of friends that's a smoker?
No.
I can't remember the last person I hung out with that is a smoker. Or
probably Rachel Ray.
Hey, just let me step out for a second.
Yeah, probably Ray.
Yeah, probably Ray. I mean, I've got some coworkers. I guess I would consider
coworkers.
My colleague Ted. We've done some stuff before. He's the one that got me the job where I'm at right now. And
oh yeah, Ted. I remember Ted.
Can always talk sports with him. He's a Reds Cowboys fan, so.
That's a weird combo.
But even him, well, he grew up in West Virginia, so West Virginia is kind of a free-for-all state. Even with him, like when he goes out outside of our workplace, he stands next to it. He doesn't even smoke in his vehicle. Like that says a lot. Like your habit, you can't do it, like even in your vehicle.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because it stinks.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. at our place of work that smoke in their cars though, so they don't have to go to like a smoker's pit or whatever. Like they're getting around the rules.
Yeah, because they changed them. Like you can't go where you used to be able to go.
Yeah, there's just like one smoke pit.
Yeah, it's like all the way in the back,
300 yards away from the building. Yeah. You know, people are going to take the path of least resistance, so they're going to sit in their vehicle.
Yeah, which is terrible. It's like double the smoke.
Right. That's one thing. Like being up here, usually I'm, you know, I've got as I look over at my cooler, usually I'm buying beers or whatever, but I brought so many to like give away, and then people gave me a couple or whatever. I may not be until this weekend that I actually buy some stuff from up here.
Wow.
But which is good, you know. Like I keep telling people, the cellar's doing fine. You know, let me give you some.
Yeah, hey, that's a good way to live. All right, let's talk about this beer, Prickly Pear.
For sure.
Canyon. What do you think?
Man, this beer is a nothing burger. It is. It offers a wheat ale. It's hard to hit a home run on a wheat ale because that wheat is going to be overpowering. So if you don't crave that wheat, it's going to be overpowering. I feel like I'm not very familiar with prickly pear outside. I mean, I knew it was the flowering fruit on the cactus. This beer offers next to nothing. Maybe a little bit of sweetness, but I'm not going to be very beloved or close to this beer. Oh, man, off the top rope, they made a beer. Off the top rope, this is a 275. It's not offensive, but there's nothing to it. They could have taken a ho-hum beer and just splashed a little bit of fruit. It's light. Again, coming in at a 4.5%, there's nothing to, you know, you see a fruit emblazoned on a can, even though it's a wheat ale and the wheat's going to retard it a little bit. The prickly pear is not enough to like win me over. So again, off the top rope, 275.
All right. Yeah. I agree with some of the sentiment that you're saying. I think I taste a little more of it than you do. I taste a little bit of the wheat ale, but more so, I think that there is something in this that I like. If you gave me this in a glass, I don't know that I would ever guess prickly pear. I'd actually probably guess there's a hint of pickle in this because it has a little tang, vinegar kind of taste to it. There's a sweetness, but it's barely there. Really, it's like that tanginess, and it hits you in the back of the throat, and it's not pleasant. It doesn't taste like fruit, and it doesn't really taste like cactus, which we just discussed. I'm not sure. What I would just have to I'd have to pinpoint this beer kind of like a wheat pickle. Yeah. Can art. We gotta do a can art boner segment. I forgot.
I'm helping you out. You
Thanks.
talk.
Yeah, the can art boner segment.
Let me use my fancy new camera.
Pears. And it's got a purple color to it. The logo and the background, which is kind of what the beer itself is colored like. It says "Live curiously," which is nice. "Live adventurously" is also nice. And then it does say a refreshing American wheat enhanced with the subtle sweetness of all natural prickly pear fruit. When they say when it says contains some fruit juice, this doesn't say that. But that's not a good thing, right? What are they trying to illustrate there? That it contains real fruit juice or that it contains bullshit?
It's interesting because like Sunny D will say less than 1% juice. My Buy Fives will say it contains 5% juice.
Oh.
Like if it's under, and those are just two modern examples I've seen in like the last couple of weeks when I'm looking for like juice content. Or like you see juicy juice commercials where it's 100% juice.
100% juice. Yep. 0% gum.
0%. Yeah. So
juicy juice or juicy? What's juicy juice? Is that
juicy juice is the one that when we were kids came in a steel can and you'd have to use a church key to open it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You don't remember juicy juice?
No.
You had to have Chuggalo Mom chime in. You guys had juicy juice. It came in like the big steel, like a 64-ounce can.
Right. And you like put a little hole in both sides.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if I had juicy juice, but find out.
I mean, we were a Kool-Aid house, but every once in a while we'd get a can of juicy juice.
Yeah, Kool-Aid's awesome. So that's that. Adorned landscapes. Yeah, that's Canyon Brewing segment. I don't know. This beer, it's uninspiring. It's making me feel like the podcast is suffering because, like you said, it's what's the term you used? It's like
Uninspired.
uninspired, mid tier. It's just it's ho hum is another phrase you use a lot. There's really nothing about this beer that that there's to talk about other than that just hint of weird flavor on the end.
I'm glad though. It's nice to reset the palate a little bit.
Yeah,
I wrote these beers down in the wrong order. I just grabbed when I grabbed them out of the cooler, so I didn't have to get up and go to the fridge. I'm glad though because the second one can't be like this, right? Again, wheat
no,
ale. When's the last time you've been inspired by a wheat ale though?
never.
Not like a
I've
wheat
been,
wine or
I,
anything. A wheat ale.
yeah, there's been some wheat ales that are strong, have more strong wheat flavor. That are like straight wheat ales, not fruit.
Wait a second. Are you saying wheat
Yeah,
or
yeah,
wheat? Wheat?
yeah, wheat. Yeah,
Cream of wheat?
just like that.
Wheat.
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 Yeah, I guess it's good to reset the palate in a sense. I'm going to give this a lower score than you because I feel like in order for this beer to get a favorable score, and favorable would be anything above a 2.5, would be you got to add carbonation to this. It's not carbonated and it's really suffering because of that. It would, because of how small the flavor is, give it that impression of a seltzer. Give it some carbonation, and then yeah, I think that would be my only suggestion. I don't think there's any other way to amp this up.
You were unintentionally demeaning, but I feel like it was apt when you described this beer as a small beer.
Yeah, small.
I like it. Probably not in the way that you intended it, but like this is a very small, like underwhelming,
yeah,
disappointing. But you said small, and I liked it. I liked how apt and concise that was.
Yeah, it was hard to come up with a word in the moment, but and it's not the same. It's not the opposite of big beer because big beer, as we know, would be a lot of alcohol content.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have a lot of alcohol content, but it does have your typical light beer amount, 4.5. It's a small in, I guess, character, really. Small character.
I like small.
Yeah. So that's so I'm gonna give this beer a 2.5, right on the middle tier there. You add some carbonation, and I could see this maybe raising up at least 2.75, maybe even in the threes. Given that the carbonation would add texture, even if the flavor remains small.
I didn't even think about the carbonation aspect. The carbonation aspect is awesome to think that how flat this is.
Yeah.
Like a bigger characteristic, like a bourbon barrel or something like that pours very still.
Yeah.
This is not that at all. It's the opposite end of the spectrum, and it offers no effervescence to it.
That's one of the best things about a light beer is the effervescence, the carbonation. It adds to the experience.
By alcohol content, you could easily power hour this beer, but at about 30 minutes into the beer, when you're like 3.5 beers in, you would just want to blow your brains out.
You would. Imagine puking this flavor up. It would be bad.
Just this plus bile.
Plus bile. Isn't that what puke is?
Grand Canyon.
Plus bile.
From those of us at the Chuggalo podcast, because they're going to be linked, I'm sure that you guys make your repertoire is better, and we hope that we encounter it soon.
What repertoire? Oh,
the rest of their offerings.
Yeah. I'm sure it's great.
I'm sure it's great.
I just don't. I wonder. Before we crack into the next one, when we have some beers from these places, or I'm out looking for beers, and I see things like a wit beer, wheat ale, and I see
wheat.
I understand Pilsner, even though I also can be very uninspired by them. I get it. I get the tradition there, and then you have IPAs, sours, and stouts and porters kind of like clumped together. I understand there's wiggle room in those categories, but with wheat ales, wit beers, some of these other types of ales, I don't understand like what you're sitting at the table with your brewing, partners, and you're like, the next beer we're going to brew is a wheat ale. for business purposes, I can't imagine that you're thinking that the profit's just going to roll in.
I know you're trying to diversify your tap list and have,
That's true.
all sorts of strokes for different folks. We know a lot of beer drinkers. I don't know anyone, and I don't know anyone that would be like, you know what, that's the one I want. And we know like lighter beer or, traditional or ancient lock. We know those drinkers and we know and love those people and we can have beer discussions with them. I don't know anyone that usually, for 100 episodes, we'd be like, oh, I don't know if it's a person or a situation.
Yeah. And when you make these basic kind of, I don't know, to me, they feel like not ancient beers, but the middle ground between ancient lager and modern craft beer. They're kind of like the traditional standards, these wheat ales and stuff. Now you're competing with like Sam Adams. The people who want a wheat ale already have a beer. They're not like us where we'll drink a new beer every time we drink a beer.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird thing to me that they think, oh, let's make a wheat ale. Maybe it's fun to make. I don't know. Maybe it's in the craft.
It's what you said. It's not like, hey, we sit down, we're gonna make a wheat ale. It's like that monkey commercial where they tip the and they're clapping and stuff.
Yeah, that's what they do. And they're like prickly pear wheat ale. Got it. All right, this next one comes from New Mexico. If you're not aware, there's a New Mexico from the old Mexico.
Yep.
It's different. It is a U.S. state. This is from Silver City, New Mexico. Pendejo Porter.
I think it's Pendejo, but
that sounds like B. I always thought it was Pendejo.
I think that's how they said Pendejo.
But I think that they're just saying the P like a P, but we're not hearing it.
Yeah.
I could say it like an English-speaking American, and say Pendejo, but I won't do that.
Yeah, because it is the traditional Pendejo, which just means a stupid or incompetent person. So this is saying like a stupid porter or an incompetent porter in the traditional.
Porter. Yeah, it's vulgar slang according to Google.
Yep.
Little Toad Creek Brewing and Distillery. So it's a distillery as well, which I find interesting. We've seen a few of those. Let's crack this thing open.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this beer just because it's not the other one.
All right, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Now, we'll add that all of these beers that I got on this journey were all purchased from a gas station. So,
gas stations
in the states that they were purchased in, that they are from. The reason why I mention that is because I feel like what we're going to get with Pendejo Porter and Prickly Pear are like what you'd find if you're in Ohio. It's like what you would find at, for example, Speedway, or even what's that one I always pronounce wrong? Sunoco. Whereas if we had like Halls or Speedway with the Crispy Crunchy Speedway where they have these craft beer sections, we're going to get beers from these same brewers that are harder to get, or maybe one-offs. These are probably more standard, output from these brewers. So when we do evaluate these beers, it's best to remember that they're probably making better beer. They're just not selling them at gas stations.
An awesome caveat. And with that, you have to think gas stations do a lot more because their shelf space is very valuable to make profits or whatever. So they're doing a little bit more analysis, and they're going to get more of. They're not going to get the craft beer aficionado. They're getting a lot more foot traffic.
Yeah.
So what appeals to much more of a John or a Jill rather than myself or JT walking in there.
Yeah. Right.
That are in a craft beer journey. These are hardworking fellows and madams that are grabbing a 6-pack and heading home, and since we're in Arizona and New Mexico, having tortillas or some chorizo or something.
Man, I love chorizo.
Anytime I had chorizo last week, it's my in the power play of me. Well, granted, I made a soup or whatever, and I used a ground Italian sausage, but it overpowers and that's the thing. It's an excellent pairing, chorizo Yeah,
I
like
love
Italian sausage or anything like that.
Unfortunately, I was in Indianapolis this last weekend, and we went to a Mexican restaurant, and I got the street tacos. You can order 3, and you can mix and match them. So I said I wanted steak, chorizo, and
Power rank them.
And fish taco, and
Was the fish deep fried and battered?
Language barrier fucked things up, and they gave me steak, chicken, and fish, so I didn't get to try the chorizo. I was disappointed.
That's Mexican. That's unless you
I know,
said
right? They should have heard me, but it was all jacked up. They were like, it was bad. It was
Did you get it?
God.
Did you get any Sun King beer?
No. Oh. Sun King? No, I didn't. There was a guy there who was like had it for some reason an overabundance of Michelob Ultra, and so I just had all the Michelob Ultra I needed. He just kept giving them out. I don't know why he bought so much, but
I've had my fill of Mich Golden Light up here, and by fill I've had a hefty amount of Mich Golden Lights.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, not a huge Michelob guy. All right. So this is Little Toad Creek out of Silver City. Pendejo Porter. There's not much information about it on the can, so I'll have to look it up.
But I'm your bro. 8.2% ABV. It's not on the can.
Oh, wow. Yeah, 8.2. So I found this one at a gas station that had some, like Ohio doesn't sell hard liquor outside of liquor stores, but some places sell them in grocery stores. This place in New Mexico sold it in the gas station. And so they had a separate room that you could walk into, kind of like old school video store had like the porn room.
Oh,
this had like a booze room, and you walk back and they've got a lot of just standard hard liquors. I was looking for maybe they had some cool bourbon, but they didn't. But then they had a bunch of craft beer, and again, it just seemed like a lot of standards, and this was one of the ones I found. Very like weird feeling place. So it was like all white. The walls were white. The shelves were white. There was no fridge or freezer. Everything was on the shelf. So it was just weird. It was just a weird room.
So there was no 450 North there?
They did not have 450 North there.
No Toppling Goliath?
I don't think that they could probably sell Toppling Goliath. There was some IPAs, and I had to choose between this and an IPA. But no like Fandango series, no 450 North, none of that.
Did you that orange cream, that 450 North orange cream, have you seen that or purchased that yet?
I have seen it. I have not purchased it.
I gave away 2 of the 4 that I bought up here, and one person posted on Untapped, and I just scrolled by really quick, so I didn't take in what they said.
Is that recent? Is that a recent one? Because I did have an orange marshmallow.
Yeah, the orange cream one, it was the first time that I saw it at Pat's, and it was the day before I came up here. Right. So okay. I just want some freshies. So I gave away a lot of stuff I haven't tried yet, but I kept a certain amount at home. So I was breaking stuff down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've not had it.
That variety pack that I showed you and we had on the podcast, I think on episode 275 or 274, everything in that was at least, it's 450 North. Everything in that was at least a 425 or higher.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There was no taco party, but it was close.
Well, everything, yeah. Taco party is it's going to be hard to match, hard to beat. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that there's not much special about this, but I was trying to see if there was maybe any adjuncts or anything in this beer. No, there's not.
It's interesting. I'm just going to say, as like build conversation, Arizona and New Mexico aren't states that you think about when it comes to craft beer. And these beers do not help that narrative at all.
Yeah.
Like Oklahoma has Prairie Artisan Ales. I have a special Prairie Artisan Ales spoiler alert for JT coming up. It's going to be an amalgamation of 2 things he loves. That's all I'm going to say about that. But
the cups and drumming.
As apparently you've been following my Untapped.
What a beer that's going to be.
There's like if we would do a draft and JT and I are picking dodgeball teams. But in this one, we're picking craft beer teams, and all the states are standing up against the wall And Arizona and New Mexico are going to be near the bottom of.
That's a really interesting take. I actually kind of want to do that. Pick teams on craft beer.
Right, and then we could spend a week like disseminating and punching holes. Like, like one of us would pick Ohio, but then it's like, oh well, you get Wild Ohio too, and then you're like,
yeah.
Everyone has their turds, but it'd be nice to have something because. Sorry, Stacy. My best friend just traveled to Arizona 2 weeks ago now for the Mole People, and I go, "Did you have anything that was dynamite?" And he was there for a few days. He said, "No, everything was miss." And he's like drinking IPAs, and we're drinking stuff like out of our safety zone porter, wheat ale. He goes, even the IPAs were ho hum.
That's unfortunate. There's got to be something good there.
You would hope. There's a lot of wine production. Arizona is very, and then you have like mezcal and tequila and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's very similar to what you said with like the Tajín. There took my mom out for a restaurant, and there was a Paloma that I almost got, and the accoutrement to that drink was the salted rim, was Tajín salted rim.
Oh no way! I've been seeing that. I've been seeing margaritas that are sold like that.
Yeah.
I
had two other craft cocktails. I was like, that would have been the third one though.
Do you use Tajín on anything? No, I love it.
There's so much other fun spices that I have, like Slap Your Mama. If I'm going with just like spices or rubs, probably Slap Your Mama if I want something a little zestier. Or I've got Tom's Habanero Garden, it's called Heat Wave. It's a local Dayton thing, but he sells them at all the Krogers or whatever. So.
Oh, all right, I'll have to find that.
It's just ground up peppers.
I like the tanginess of we call it Tajin as a joke. It kind of just stuck, and so now we say it. We don't realize we're saying it. But oddly enough, it's supposed to go on fruit and stuff. But if you put it on mac and cheese, it'll change your life. Like Tajin on mac and cheese is amazing. It really is. It's so good. It's weird.
It jumped off the shelf. I was buying groceries last Thursday when I was on the way to the cabin, and I had to buy flour and cornmeal, so it's in the spice aisle. And I didn't see any others because I was like, well, I got to buy an all-purpose spice or whatever because I was making red beans and rice. And the only thing that jumped off the shelf, and it was the second shelf, was Tajín. It was like screaming me. So like JT has like planted this subliminal message.
Yeah,
like
you gotta get it, man.
Like I'm
put it on
like
that rice.
Below, well, it doesn't really go that well with like Cajun cooking, but
you should use for red beans and rice. You should get rid of what you bought and use jerk seasoning for that.
I mean, I like a little bit of like white pepper. That's a single use thing. You buy one jar of white pepper, it's gonna last you your entire life. It's so like fine.
Yeah.
Spice related. Played trivia on Monday. And I bet JT gets this. We did not. JT, what plant is paprika made from?
I don't. Oh, that seems like it would be very difficult.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I don't actually know.
We got 24 out of 25 questions right. We used our cheater, where it is the individual comes up and gives you the option of 3. And even with that, we didn't. It's red pepper. It's smoked red pepper. But
really?
We still got it wrong.
I feel like I'm terrible at trivia.
I love it. It's my favorite thing
to like describe some, like the origins of some like conflict, I'd be like really good at it. But there's no trivia for that.
Out shout to Sandy's up here. I love it. They're a beer bar that is in a converted house. Best trivia caller, Big Kev. Out shout to Big Kev. He is the best. I've done trivia all across for the better part of the last couple of decades, and he's been the absolute best. And he knows it.
To bring it back full circle, like a comedy stand-up special. And speaking of trivia, have you seen The Rehearsal on HBO?
No.
Oh my God, Matt, you'd love that show. It's so good. Like it's perfectly. It's freaking awesome. The whole first episode is about trivia.
Oh, man, now I got to write that down. And then the last thing, I got a piece of bad news. This is going to be interactive. So on Wednesday, May 8th, after I leave, I make sure there's no PII on my phone. WCW trivia night with Eric Bischoff, and I won't be here.
Damn.
And it's $10. $10 is a steal. I would have
$10 is a steal.
I would have paid at least 3 times that to go have a trivia night hosted by himself, Mr. Eric Bischoff, Easy E, as he's known in the wrestling world.
Wow, the wrestling world calls him Easy E. I didn't know
Easy
that.
E. Well, that's what they did in the NWO. By the way, if you want your mind blown,
NWO makes sense.
Go look at the original NWO. There's a couple NWO graphic before they went with the one. It was like an integrated NWO, like the O, the N, and the W, where it didn't look good. There's a reason why they changed it up.
Yeah, I like what they landed on. But it makes sense, NWO being like Easy E, like NWA. That makes sense.
All right.
Just being WCW. No, not really.
I have thoughts about this beer. I'm going to tip my hand a little bit. I'm going to say that this is better than the first beer. The best comment I can give it is it's not the first beer. This is overly smoked and pungent. So this is a I already have another name for the title, but this is like the non-carbonated episode. Obviously, with a porter, you're not going to get much carbonation just because of the tradition in which a porter is made. This is just a one note, just smoked. It should have just said smoked porter. I know Pendejo. I don't know if they're describing the individual that buys the beer or the type of beer, because this is, again, knowing Pendejo is like stupid or contemptible. This is a contemptible beer, but caveat, it's better than the first beer. I would drink more of these before I would drink the first one, begrudgingly. Off the top rope, I gave the other one a 2.75. This is off the top rope. I'll give this one a 3. It's a porter. We don't get very much of them. It might be the worst porter we've had on the podcast, though, in 277 episodes. We haven't done that many. I'll have to go through the list, but it's not. It doesn't push the envelope. It just really got that smoked amped up. Like this was left in the smoker way too long. Hopefully he took the brisket off first.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a different direction with at least the flavor notes. I don't think it's the worst porter we've had on the show.
I wish I had my list with me. I would check.
The smoked porter we had, there was an actual smoked porter. I did not like that beer.
And I liked it. That was one of the few that we juxtaposed on.
This one doesn't have that smoked flavor, in my opinion. What this has is, there's a few porters that do this. It's like the malts wind up, I don't know, like peaking at some sort of metallic, coin-like flavor.
Metallica?
Yeah. The Metallica porter tastes like pennies. Yeah, it's called Enter Copperman.
That's why I didn't want to play that game that you and the missus played where we brought over 400 pennies. It's just that smell, of pennies.
Oh, you don't like the smell of pennies?
Oh,
it wasn't about the money. It was about the game. The game's fun.
It's the smell. I wish we would have been like, hey, nickels. Everyone bring.
Oh, you could bring nickels. You could bring whatever you want. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We're not playing that ever again. So it's all malts. That's this beer. This beer is all malts. And you need to, I don't know. I'm not a brewer, so I can't claim to know this as a fact, but I feel like maybe they're undercooked or maybe not cooked at all. You gotta cook these things. Make it a little darker, give it more flavor, which would give it more character. It would come off as either coffee or chocolate at that point, and then we can all talk about how average it is. But now we're talking about how less than average it is, how below average it is. Now, I will say that Little Toad Creek does make some interesting things that this beer does not discourage me from trying. They have they make a mule that actually has vodka in it. In a can. There it is.
Yeah, there we go.
They make a gin and grapefruit mule that has gin, and then apple bourbon mule, which I love. That we call them here in Ohio Kentucky mules. I guess they call them bourbon mules there.
I bet those are cocktail. Those are canned cocktails.
Yeah, canned cocktails. Lemon raspberry mojito. They're all cocktails. So they make some things that do look interesting to me. Here, whiskey sour, peach whiskey sour. That's some good stuff.
Peach, gross.
We just had peach.
I know, but
And
not
you gave it a
my
5.
whiskey sour. Yeah.
Well, maybe not in your whiskey sour. I don't think I'm drinking whiskey sours. Katie will drink a whiskey sour.
Peach brandy. Yeah.
Okay. I won't try that, but I'll nod approvingly. I think there's some interesting stuff from this brewery. This beer doesn't do it for me. Man, this might be one of our lowest aggregate scores here. It's just I'm not under 2 though. This beer is not pour. It's not pour out. It just doesn't. It feels like a beer that was canned, like pre-trying it. Like they were like, we did it. This beer's a beer. And
they came up with the name before, and then they're like,
Yeah.
like you do with movies. They come up with a clever name before, and then they're like, well, now we've got to do it.
I think you could have recycled the Pendejo part to Pilsner, and then do something else with the porter because you need more flavor. It's just, man, it's like 2 beers. Yeah, you're right. They illustrate the Southwest, not California, but other Southwest state like perspective or perception of beer from the rest of the country. Just like flat ground. No, there's no
relief.
There's no peak. There's no valley. You just make beer, and it tastes like beer. It's such a bummer, but yeah, it's better than the prickly pear. They executed what I think is a beer that probably sells decently well to people of New Mexico, but I'm going to give it a 2.75.
The best, if I could compliment this beer, and I need to compliment this beer, is it's actually on the can. I was the important thing is it's brewed in small batches, which is good because then they didn't commit too much to it and they can throw out all the rest of this dog shit.
Yeah, I need.
I did that to pop the kids. The kids like hot takes.
Yeah, that's a good hot take. That was a prime hot take.
Also, they've got a wanted, which is nothing related to this can. It's not wanted at all.
No. Yeah, no, that's Little Toad, I think.
Do you think? I bet they're looking at their craft stuff. I bet they're a better distiller.
Probably.
We'd have to look at, but
yeah.
a lot of this is just hot takes, just off the hip. Like you said, this one I'm for sure not deterred by what we're having. We say a lot of things in jest. The fact that they have all those craft cocktails, and that's the burgeoning business. Like you have crafted Jack and Cokes now in cans, like pre-made stuff. Like
Jack Daniels makes them.
Yep, and they're pretty good. They taste
perfect pairing.
They taste a little bit thin, but that's because at home everyone makes theirs, with a heavy-handed pour.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so that's the first 2 beers on the journey east. We'll have Oklahoma, and I believe I have a Texas, and then Missouri, and then we'll start entering, and then Illinois and Indiana. I think we'll just skip those.
The beer that I have for JT, since he said Oklahoma, thus far is an Oklahoma beer.
It's perfect. We'll have multiple Oklahomas in a row.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes rolling down the plain.
Is that so?
Yep.
The wind in Oklahoma traditionally turns into a tornado, especially if it's near a trailer park.
We had a tornado that affected in Omaha that snapped a fiber line, so we were down for the last 2 days up here.
Oh man!
Right? It's all connected. It's all connected.
I know, right? Well, unless you're in Texas, they were on their own thing, and that actually was bad.
Yeah.
But might wind up being good if the grid goes down. Anyway, that's it. That's 277. It's a beer-filled episode. We didn't talk much shop today, but that's what you get on this podcast.
A random assortment of goodies.
I need you to watch the rehearsal.
The rehearsal.
Like it's something I need you to do because just remember that no matter what you think of the guy who's doing the show, he's gonna fool you because he is amazing at staying in character.
The rehearsal. Gonna check it out.
Yeah, please do. It's awesome. I'm not sponsored by HBO, but it's a good show. Anyway.
Yeah, he already said 42 minutes ago he canceled HBO. So.
Yeah, I canceled HBO. Yeah, I wasn't watching anything on it, but I did watch the rehearsal and it was amazing. I thought there'd be a season 2, but I don't think there is.
when I'm up and I have cable, I just True TV and I watch Impractical Jokers.
I can't do it.
That's my safe spot. I love those
Impractical
guys.
Jokers to me there's like it's mostly cringe until there's like one or two pranks that are so over the top that I actually feel sympathy and sadness.
I love it.
Like the one where they painted over little kids' paintings. Like I like
with the red X. That was Q. Q had to do that. That was Q's punishment.
That's the point of the show, but
they were in charge of making a mural in Dover, so they painted Dover sucks. And massive mural like in downtown.
That's fine. It's good. It's TV for some people. Not for me.
TV for idiots like this guy.
I'm glad that I don't have cable. Cable sucks. But blackout rules also suck. So anyway, that's it. 277. Thanks for
take me home, baby.
Bye.
Bye-bye.